Right.
All right, Victor Green, thank you for joining us at Class Act Sports. We're here obviously to talk about the big Monday night showdown between the Jets and the Pats, both two 9-2 teams, AFC East rivals. This game could arguably be the biggest game of the year. What's your take on what it's going to take for both of these teams to get the W?
Well, I think it's going to be a tough game. The Jets beat the Pats three out of the last four times, and but they're going home to a Tom Brady team that hadn't lost there in like 3 years. So it's going to be a tough game, and for the Jets to win, obviously they got to come out there and put some points on the board early. I think they're going to be in a hostile environment, going back to Foxborough, and they gotta come out firing. I think they can't come out flat, and I think the Patriots got to come out the same way. Who I think the ones that throws the first punch is obviously get that momentum and gonna have a better chance to win.
Now you had an opportunity to play for both teams. Obviously, a longtime Jet. You played with the Jets for 10 seasons. Great hard-hitting safety with the Jets. And then you had an opportunity to play under Bill Belichick and for the Patriots. What was the biggest difference for you playing on both of those teams?
Well, obviously, playing in New York for a long time, that's my claim of fame. I love New York. I love what they stand for. Going to the Pats kind of was a, you know, different circumstance. Not by choice, but obviously you got to work. I had a good first year, a good year, 1 year there. Belichick is a marvelous coach, very smart, very intelligent mind, and I think he's one of the probably the smartest coach in the NFL. And I think when you look at the Pats team, they don't necessarily is the best by paper or on paper, but when you got Tom Brady, when you got a Bill Belichick, they always find a way to win. And I think they're 6, 7 consecutive 10 win seasons. That's pretty special. But saying that though, New York is where it's at for me. Has some great coaches there, and Belichick's for one. But it was a good time going there.
Now, talking about Bill Belichick being one of the best coaches in the league, what makes him so special is obviously his ability to work with the players into his scheme. Why don't you think other coaches are so successful or as successful in working or finding players to work into their schemes?
I don't know, man. I don't know the answer to that. You had Romeo Cornell, you had Eric Mangini, everybody that seemed to leave him. You had Charlie Weiss that just haven't found that rhythm or that formula, if you will. Belichick, man, he just so smart. As a guy that really never played the game. His dad was a longtime coach, and at 10 years old, he was breaking down film, and he just don't know one position. He's just not an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. He's coached all positions. He's very familiar with them all, and he just know how to pick talent. He likes smart players. He likes hardworking players, and he just seemed to find the right fit for his system.
Now, you had an opportunity. Obviously, when you were playing for the Patriots against the Jets, you went back to New York and you had a 96-yard interception return for a touchdown. Talk about what
Yeah.
that was like for you to get a little sweet redemption against your former team, and I almost see something a little bit similar developing in Danny Woodhead playing against his former team. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, it's special. Obviously, whenever you go back to your former team, you want to win. You want to do well, and I was fortunate to do both. The biggest thing for me that week was really was the fans. How the fans was going to respond to me coming back after leaving and going to the rival team. But they responded really well, and very grateful for tucking in and with all the cheers, even though I had a touchdown. They were very gracious. And Moorhead, in a similar situation, obviously he's going to want to win a football game. Obviously, that's going to mean a lot to him. He's doing well in that system. He's a big part of the offense, And I think that both teams got their hands really full. They got the Jets got the best defense in the league. Then you got the Patriots who has who wants their high-powered offense, but they always find a way to put points on the board. So, but it was very special for me going back, and I'm sure it's going to be for Moorhead as well.
Now, what's what is it with Rex Ryan that he's not afraid to put himself out there? You know how confident he is in his team and almost rallies the troops, so to speak, and they respond to him really putting it out there, as opposed to some other coaches which sometimes seem scared of their own shadow and are afraid to talk the talk.
Well, I like Rex and what he's doing. I really do. I always type of player that always want to be able to say what you want to say, but you don't want to be the player to put a bulletin board material, as we call it. But he let his player go out there and be themselves. He was talking yesterday as far as the Pats need to be worried about him. So he's very cocky and cocky of a coach. But his players go out there and play. He allowed them to be themselves. He allowed them to talk and just be cocky, if you will. And that's the way they play. But you back it up. The other team, and they got to go out there and play, and they got to go out there and win the game. So I can say whatever I want to say, but as long as I go out there and back it up, then that's all that matters.
Absolutely. And so who are you pulling for? You pulling for your long term, your long time team, the New York Jets, or you just want to see a good game at this point?
I like to see a good game. I like to see New York win. I like to see. A long time since we went to the Super Bowl. The Pats had their share of the last 5 years, going to four of them or whatever it is. So, it's time for a New York team to get back to Super Bowl, and I would love for them to win this game and go on throughout the season. You with some momentum going into the playoffs, and I have an opportunity to get to the AFC Championship game and hopefully get past that this year.
Which player is the biggest X factor for the New York Jets to be successful in coming away in Foxborough with the first W in Foxborough in 25 games for any visiting team?
Well, I think for the you know for the New York Jets, I think Sanchez really have to be the driving force of that football team. He really has to lead them and play well. And if he plays well, I really think that they have a huge chance of winning because I think they'll be able to run the ball on the Patriots, with LaDainian Thompson and Sean Green. On the Pats side of the ball, we talking about Moorhead, I think Wes Welker, and I think just the whole, they're a collective unit, and I think they all have to play well. Obviously, Tom has to get the ball out. Um, they don't have much of a running game, but they find a way with their passing game. They short intermediate passing to be their force of their running game. So I think that them, New England has to like has to play well, but I think Mark Sanchez has to play really well for the Jets to win the game.
And obviously, the Jets haven't had as many playmakers on the perimeter as they do now. Talk about what Santonio Holmes, the addition of him, as well as the great play of Dustin Keller and Braylon Edwards, has meant to this Jet team.
I tell you what, I mean, for a fourth round pick for Santonio Holmes, who's a first round originally, was a huge pickup for them. I think he's coming into his own. I think he's been the biggest X factor for that team this year. I mean, for I think 3 out of the last 4 weeks, he's been the one to really catapult them to a win. So, having that guy Braylon Edwards, he's been somewhat solid this year, but he's been making some big plays. Dustin Callen, I think he's eventually going to be a big time tight end. He's a good tight end now, but I don't think he peaked as yet. But they got some weapons, man. Damian Thompson, he's running well. I think he's been rejuvenated. So I think they have the nucleus offensively. And again, defensively, I think they one of the best in the league. And if they can, again, put everything together, but it's going to land on Sanchez's shoulder to make the right reads and not make the mistakes, and they definitely can win.
Absolutely. Well, we're all looking forward to this AFC East rivalry Monday night, biggest game of the season, arguably for both teams and maybe any team, any game for that matter. Uh, you know, on Tuesday we'll check back in and talk about where both teams are going to go because inevitably one's going to win and one's going to lose. So, do you believe that whichever team wins this game will win the division, or at that point you still? I mean, because if the Jets take this one, wind up with 2 wins in the division against the Pats, and a better record, do you think there's a chance of a point of no return at that point? You think the Jets will be on their way to wrapping up the division?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if the Jets win the game, they'll definitely win the division. They beat the Pats already, so they got the lead there. It's the Pats win. Obviously, it's still they still got 5 games at that point to decide the division. But I think definitely if they win this, they got it the division wrapped up. I think both teams. I think they both can make the playoffs. But as we know, going down the stretch, home field advantage is where it's at. So, which team can create that home field advantage, I think, has a better chance at going far into the playoffs because it's tough to win in both spots.
All right, Vic. Thanks a lot for your time, man, and thanks for tuning in. I'm Jared Ginsberg, and you're watching Class Act Sports.
And this is Victor Green. You're watching Class Act Sports.
All right,
Thanks for
thanks, and
joining us.
everyone, stay tuned for Vic's breakdown of the game on Tuesday. All right, thanks a lot, Vic.
See you Tuesday.
All right, see ya.
Absolutely, brother.